All right.
And we're live. 1 2 1 2.
Yo.
Oh, yo, what's up, Travarsi?
Hey. Are you ready to do this or?
I'm ready. 1 2.
Yo.
Oh,
Oh shit! I hear myself.
what's up,
All right.
Travarsi?
Yep, I got it. You think this is my first rodeo, right?
It's all good. You know what it is? It's because it's our first anniversary. And so we're hearing ourselves come back at ourselves because this is the Gear Dive Jam Matrix. Yeah, that's what's up. But yeah, good times. So how did we get to a year already?
I don't even know. It just like flew by. Like, yeah.
It was weird anyway. So,
But a lot of cool stuff came out. I'll tell you that.
yeah, a lot of cool stuff came out. We got a chance to look at a lot of stuff, but I also am making an official declaration that we all get to stay whatever age we were when 2020 started, and we're just going to charge that back to the game. We're not.
I'm down for that.
That year is a bust. We're not going to do that. But so this is our retrospective show. We got some special guests, and I'm just happy to be here doing this again. So let's see.
Me too.
All right, and we won't tell you who we got because we're just gonna kind of get started, and we'll talk to them right after we say these things.
Bam! There's everyone.
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
All right. We got Dean, we got Evan, we got Dissonant, we got myself, we have Travarsi, and it's good to see who we have in the chat here.
I see Space Racer, Stu J. We got OSC Digi. Oh, yeah.
Dope.
We got in 10 ounces. Did I say that right?
Sounds about right.
Yep. Forestine, what's up?
So let's I actually, since this is a retrospective and this is our 12th episode, we're doing these every month, and we haven't missed a month. Luckily, I did miss a month because it was the wife's birthday, and I happened to not pay attention that the show was on the day of my wife's birthday. And so you know how that goes.
Yep.
Doing a podcast on your wife's birthday. But at any rate, how do we think about this? A couple years ago, before the pandemic, it was 2019. And we said, let's do a show. Travarsi came to me and said, let's do a show together. And I do the Beat People podcast, although we're on hiatus right now. But Travarsi had been on there too with the whole Beat People crew, and we did that whole thing. But we wanted to do something a little bit different. And what we had planned was quite a bit different, wasn't it, Travarsi?
Yeah. Because I was like, I want to do this thing, but I think it would be better if two people, and we had such a good chemistry. I was like, we should do this together and kind of have this, like, have the conversation bouncing back and forth as opposed to kind of talking at the crowd. Sort of. Yeah.
And then we started talking, and welcome to the show, Danger Hands. And just so you all know, we invited a lot of people back to the show today. So there may be people dropping in and out, and it's just, in celebration of 1 year anniversary. I wish I had a little bitty cake from Milk Bakery. Those cakes are good, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
And here's the thing. The way we wanted to really do this show is, mind you, pre-pandemic, we wanted to, because we know a lot of people that either work for companies or are the actual manufacturers at companies. So if you put yourself in the mind, and we told some of this story before, if you put yourself in mind of dives, diners, and drive-throughs, that show with Guy Fieri, or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
So you know how he'll pick a dive of a place in St. Louis, and he's going there, and they got the world's biggest burger, and he wants to know how to make the world's biggest burger, and the chef shows him, and he's tasting the whole time, and then he gets a chance to help make the thing, and then when the thing is made, he tells you how dope it is that he's tasting what he's tasting. Then he goes around, and people are like, so Gear Dive Jam.
Yeah.
Right? That was the original idea, that we would drive around and say
visit people firsthand.
Right? Wherever you might be, and we'd say, hey, let's schedule time for us to come out to your spot. You show us how to work XYZ gear, and then we just jam with it and kind of do that, and do a podcast like that. Then 2020,
and we got nailed with the pandemic.
that's it. And so we didn't do it because we couldn't do it. And then we didn't know when it was going to open back up. And we started doing stuff for Perfect Circuit together.
Yep. Yeah.
And then we just decided, like, let's just get started. We'll let the show evolve into whatever it evolves into. And eventually we'll get a chance to do it how we always wanted to do it. But we'll have a couple of formats. And here we are with Gear.jam.
Yes.
In
Yes.
its state.
And I guess the cool thing about it, which we'll get more into later, is that next month we will get to do it the way we originally talked about. And we'll get more into that, but we'll talk about NobCon and doing now that live. But I wanted to kind of jump in now. Like, we have all of our, well, right now we have some guests. I know some others are going to pop on, but I kind of want to just go around and just, for the sake of just the anniversary and all of it, just check in. Everyone say what they did when the piece of gear that when we did the dive in the jamming. What did they dive into? Dissonant.
Yeah. Thanks. I was on the 512 vector sequencer deep dive. And yeah, we talked about all the various functions that thing can accomplish, which are numerous and crazy. And yeah, it's a hell of a sequencer, and there was a lot to talk about. Too much to cover in 1 hour.
It's crazy because he added more stuff, right?
Yeah.
What's up, Alex?
Yo.
We're going around the room, I guess, so to speak, right now, and just kind of touching base, and everyone's kind of shouting out the gear that they were able to participate with the diving and the jam. And Dean.
Hey, I'm Dean. I'm an electronic musician and YouTuber. I did the Blue Box, the 1010 Blue Box episode, where we talked about how awesome this is to use with Eurorack, and also with your desktop gear, and the combination of the two together as well.
That's right. You ran that entire beast behind you.
Yeah, absolutely. The entire system through the Blue Box. Yeah. Actually, wait, if I'm not mistaken, that might have been before I had gosh, it was such a long time ago. Was it a different system than this one? But I've been running like just about everything through the Blue Box for about the whole of 2020.
Yeah.
That's pretty sick. We're going to, just to give everybody else in the audience, and also thank you for being in the chat, we're going to pull up some videos and just play a couple minutes from everyone's video, just to kind of, not every single video, but definitely the people.
Yeah, we'll dive into some of the videos. This is your first time checking us out in the current incarnation of the show. Is what we do is, we actually talk to somebody and have a few people that use these machines and try to have either the maker or some expert on it, and they take us through the gear, and then we do a video of somebody performing it. So we're going to go through some of those videos, and this will be cool to kind of reintroduce some of those things one by one. And so, yeah.
Dope. All right. So then, Evan.
Hey, everybody. My name is Evan Serchuk. I'm one of the sound designers at Sonicware. Our episode was focused on the Live and 8-bit warps. It's on my shirt. It's a 8-bit Groovebox synth. It's part of our Live In series. We just released the XFM, which is like a 4-op FM with a unique algorithm system. And I'm just like so happy to be on the show. And just for folks out there who are like interested in, getting into, synthesizers as a career, as an industry, to let you know, it's very possible. I just met Travarsi, through going to an after party at NAMM. And that's just opened so many doors. So if you're thinking about, a career in this field, like, it's definitely possible to do that. And everybody that I've met through the NAMM show and also just through going to events and stuff has been super friendly. So anyway, just want to open that up. I know
that's a good point.
It's attainable.
No doubt.
That's right. Yeah, you came to our SoCal Synth Society's our live NAM show. Just goes to show you like how the synth community and how we've been able to keep it alive and actually make it stronger over the past year and a half doing online, you know.
Yeah, I think so. I met so many people over the pandemic. It's nuts. Like,
Isn't that
I can't
strange
wait to
though?
see
It's
everybody at NAM.
counterintuitive.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, Danger Hands.
Hey everyone.
Yo.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Cool. Thanks for having me on the show again. So the episode I was on, we talked about the noise engineering, the Simulus Iteritas Alter.
Yeah.
Super fun module. I guess it's kind of marketed as a drum module, but it can do way more than that. It can do drums, it can do melodies, bass lines, it can do all kinds of stuff, and it's like super fun to play with.
Yeah.
So that was a fun show.
It was.
That was a fun show.
Yeah.
I actually picked up the BIA after watching that episode.
Oh, dope.
Awesome. So then the show is doing its service. That's great.
The BIA, I remember I went to NobCon. It was the first year I went to NobCon, and somebody stopped me in the halls, and we started talking, and they were like, "Did you pick anything up while you were here?" And I was like, "Nah, not yet, but I'm looking at stuff." And then he kind of pulled out the BIA. I was like, "I got this." And I honestly, I can't remember who it was, but we talked about the BIA for a long time, and I actually didn't get the BIA until maybe a month or two before the show, and that's kind of how we decided to do the shows, because one of the most popular modules out there, I think.
Definitely.
Very, very versatile. And we'll be playing some jams so you guys can hear all that. Alex.
Yo.
Yeah,
so I'm Alex from WMD, and I talked about the Metron and the performance mixer that we make, and did some just talking about live performance in the Eurorack ecosystem.
Yeah, we did a double whammy.
Yeah. And then we talked about how we should talk about all the other modules that exist. But yeah, it's super fun. We're all about the live performance thing, whether or not you're actually on a stage or just in the studio. We want we want the user of the gear to be using it like an instrument and to be playing it and practicing it and feeling it. So when it comes to the gear that we make, the Metron and the performance mixer, it's all about hands-on control and just having fun with actually playing the gear and trying to get away from menu diving, programming, things like that, and just more into like real-time control.
Nice.
Yes, indeed.
And those faders, those faders, when I first of all, I love that mixer. It is like, it's like, I feel it's like the ultimate. And at first when I got it, I was like, okay, the faders. And I was like, I hope these faders can withstand all the
throwing.
The throwing that Travarsi likes to do, like the fader throwing. And it is like.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I do. Mutes are back in stock finally. So if you want to mute, go grab one. But it's like so funny because I've been telling people for like, I don't know, that mutes have been out of stock for probably a year or longer. And I've literally been like, you don't really need it. So if you want to grab one.
It's convenient, but I took it out about 6 to 8 months ago or something. Just wanted a little extra space, and I haven't missed it that much. It's just a difference of being able to set your gain at the right level, and then I just throw it up all the way. The fader up or down.
Yeah, that's what I do too. And like you can grab like with your fingers. I can like comfortably grab 4 at a time. I can't necessarily do 5, but I can do 4 pretty well. So it's like I can definitely like spread my fingers out, do some pretty crazy like mutes and unmutes just with that. But I mean, if you want the buttons, that's fine too. It is a good way to do it.
We did some serious fader throwing in Colorado a few weeks ago, didn't we?
We did 16 channels worth, probably.
Yep.
Or more, because I had my channels. I don't know if you have the channels expander. I don't remember.
Yep, I do.
20 full channels of fader throwing. And we're going to do it again at NobCon.
Yes.
Indeed.
Yep. So for those of you, if you're going to NobCon, Nasty Nachos and Travarsi will be throwing down a fat ass set Saturday night.
Yo, Nasty Nachos at Travarsi sounds like a food truck. I like it.
Travarsi's Nasty Nachos.
No doubt.
Right. Oh man. Oh geez. Well, I don't know. Corey, should we? I want to play a video, or at least some snippets of video. Let's take it all the way back then. Dean, how about some blue box?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, and then you can kind of give us a rundown, refresher of what you were doing.
I'll see if I can remember what I did. Yeah.
I know, right? So
like a lifetime ago.
I know, February, everyone. So for everyone to know, it was February just this past year. The Gear Dive Jam was on the blue box. We're gonna play a snippet of Dean's video, but if you want to check out the full episode, there you go. All right, I'm gonna ask everyone to mute up.
Wow, I have come so far in such a little time. Look at what I'm sitting in front of now compared to February, right?
Oh
my
yeah.
goodness! So that was the Novation SL MK3 running my first incarnation of a Eurorack system, and I think I was doing some live playing there of like the Audio Thingies Micro Monster and the Waldorf Blofeld over the top of that groove. And that's the cool thing about the blue box is that I was mixing all of the Eurorack directly into the blue box, as well as that desktop gear directly all through the blue box as well.
Very nice. I'm glad I jumped in right at that point in the jam because I forgot about that. You did some live improv. Very cool.
Right. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for having me then. That was great.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah, that was really dope. And then too, I think what's also dope about that particular show is we had Aaron on, and he was able to kind of really tell us what about almost the psychology behind why they created it, and those kinds of things. So it's also good to have those little tidbits and stuff, and be able to see people perform with the thing.
Right. It's also cool that they've been supporting it this whole time as well. There was just a firmware update for it. I want to say like a month or so ago. That's got some added features and stuff. We can now save like reverb presets and whatnot. So like I love when the company continues supporting it and listens to what people are interested in and tries to add that stuff to the firmware as well.
Very cool. What are two other things you want to say? Like, so there, you also did STEM recording in it too. I think you did for
I have, but I haven't really been using it for that for the most part. Mostly just 2-channel stereo recording.
Nice.
Because I'm able to get the mix so clean in it that, to be honest with you, I haven't really felt the need to like export stems and then treat those separately. I've just been able to pretty much get whatever I need right in the box.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Did they add a compressor per channel in the latest update?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you, because I don't really use the compressor in it.
Right. Okay.
I find that it adds a little bit too much noise for me personally.
Got it.
Very cool.
Indeed.
Yeah, I just want to on that point of like firmware updates. I feel like definitely one of the revolutions of having all this gear now that's really it's digital on the inside and it's some kind of system on a chip doing the DSP processing. I mean, the combination of having the internet to disseminate the data and having these really high quality digital devices, and the fact that you can you just firmware update it, like that's wild. Like
yeah, it is when you think about it, right? Because it's not like it was a long time ago that you buy a thing and that's the thing that you bought.
Or if there was a firmware update, you had to get a chip.
Yeah,
remember those days when you had to get a new chip to put in?
To throw it in.
Yeah. And I think it's really changed the relationship between the synth community and the developers. It's changed the whole expectation of the idea of feature requests, and it's really changed everything. And I think to the advantage, maybe to less sleep for the programmers. But the fact that they're still supporting their device, it's like even something like a mixer. I mean, like 20 years ago, if you were like, "Oh yeah, I bought a mixer and then it got more features later," like that's wild. Like, right. What?
And it's like that for almost everything now, because the fact of the matter is you could buy an EV today, and if you decide to keep it for 4 or 5 years, it probably won't be the same EV that you bought initially, with all the updates and over-the-air updates and different things that might happen. So it's pretty cool in general, but it's dope to see the music technology industry kind of really tying in at it. I would even say to some degree we kind of lead that a bit. I mean, so yeah.
And I like how some of these companies are having this open platform. I mean, I'm not one for, I'm not a coder or anything, but I do definitely appreciate the people that really take the time, like enjoy contributing. Cause then you like some of for example, the Zoya, and other platforms. I know noise engineering. I'm sure that off the top of my head, I can't think of others, but where they have this open platform, or not noise engineering, excuse me, but where you can write different presets and share them with people through the community.
Rebel Technology Owl, which is the Bafako Witch or something.
Lich? Is it the Lich?
Oh, the Lich.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think we're seeing more of that, which I think is kind of cool.
We're definitely doing it. I mean, noise engineering is one of them with their reverb, right? Or that's part of the plan. Then too, you have Qubit's sampler. I can't think of the name of it right off the top, but there's a couple different alternative firmwares for that too. I mean, it's pretty cool, like to be able to have that where people can just kind of, okay, I have the hardware. Let me kind of dream up some other stuff or improve upon this. I think that's dope.
Yeah,
definitely.
Very cool.
I mean, like the Zoya, like a community member just released a librarian for patch management and like viewing the Zoya patches. So it's like there are huge benefits of having being willing to share, your platform.
Yeah, that's impressive.
You knocking over all your gear there, Corey?
Let's just kind of don't mind me. We got another video?
Yeah. Actually, give me a second.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm not prepared to be totally.
It's a celebration.
Sorry. On that same subject, hey Jim.
Hey.
Oh, hey Jim.
The vector sequencer is a very different device than it was when I first got it. And every few months, it almost feels like something new. So it is sort of in line with everything that we were talking about with regards to platforms getting updated and continued support, and how cool it is that people do that. So
very
thanks,
cool.
Jim.
Yeah, I know we're always trying to sneak new things in, and the arpeggiator's coming out soon, and got a few other goodies coming along, and we've gotten some good feedback from the early users on the art mode, and so I want to get those in. I get a public beta out pretty soon.
Nice.
Yeah.
On that same note, shout out to Patch Storage. If folks have used that website before, it's just like folks doing it out of the goodness of their own heart. Like, that website is so well designed. You can find patches for all kinds of platforms. If you're a manufacturer, you literally just go on the Discord and be like, hey, can I have patches on your website? And they're like, yeah, sure. And then you get a section on their website. Like, that's so cool.
That is dope.
Very cool. All right, I pulled up a video. Danger Hands, are you ready? I'm gonna just bring it up. Everyone mute up, and I'm just gonna drop the needle somewhere in the middle of that.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's do it.
All right. Nice.
Woo, yeah.
Indeed. And that was the BIA, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you want to give us a little scoop on it? I know it was a bit ago, but
yeah. So the drums were from the Digitact. It was off screen, but the BIA was basically doing like the bass line and the kind of the noisy percussion. It was being modulated with the voltage block, and I was also sending like an envelope or LFO from the Pons Asinorum. And then I think I was also feeding it all through the ripples filter as well.
Got you. Nice. So I could hear that not only like that tight percussion, but that wow sound was also the BIA, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
That's one thing that I've always enjoyed using the BIA is because of that flexibility. Being, do you like my description there, Alex? See, like you can only do that in the synth community. I feel like everybody just knows does that.
Sorry, I just had to call that out really fast. That was
I knew exactly what you meant.
Right. That's why I was like that sound. They're like, yeah, cool. But no, it's like the versatility.
That's not the first time that I've been in my studio heard somebody say those words, that whamp sound.
pretty much my interviews at Freak Boutique. Every single one, it's like, oh, what was the wow wow sound? I just love it. It's great. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, but it's so true, man. I can't. Hey, and that's what's great about the community. Like it's only like us, like sort of like the synth nerds that you can talk like that, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. Like it's like another language.
That's right.
Well, it's the same thing as the classical music scene, except all their words are in Italian.
Yeah.
Right.
If you translated the Italian, there would probably be some points where it's like, oh yeah, this part of the music do a wow, But it's just...
That's right.
Awesome.
Who else was on the BIA show? I can't remember.
Death of Nine, which is Marcus.
Marcus was on.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who else? Frey was on.
Frey, that's right.
Frey was on.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
She has a ill style. I gotta say, we were doing some sort of event, and it was all virtual because it was 2020, and there was a lot of us performing. I mean, it must have been all day performances, and I can't remember what the event was, but Frey came on, and she had the mood in her room all like set. The lighting was her. It was kind of dark, but just enough light to see that there was something cool going on. And she had like a walkie-talkie, a CB. She had an MPC and a Eurorack system, and she was yelling something into the walkie-talkie. And I was like, she's dope. Who the hell is this?
Dissonant, that was your
Signals.
show.
Yeah. That was us. She's in New York. We just kind of found her, and on Instagram, actually. I was trolling Instagram and came across her. Or maybe it was Ben. Honestly, I've got this weird COVID brain about the past year. So things I thought I did, other people did, and vice versa,
Yeah.
And all the time morphed together. So yeah, I get it. But yep, that was Signals. That was a great show.
It was fun.
Yeah. I played, Corey, you played that too. Yeah, that was a great lineup.
I gotta go back to NIMS because I got technical difficulties that night.
You gotta come back. You gotta play Ben's show across the dimension.
Yeah, no doubt.
You gotta come to New York and play.
I'm down for that too.
Yeah, I was thinking that today actually. Before I saw the email from Travarsi, I was like, Corey B-Boy Tech needs to come to New York and
I'm
do a
definitely
show.
For that.
Yeah, I mean, if we could do that, that'd be great. We could get you. Maybe we could get another relatively well-known person from New York whose name I'm not going to mention that's friends with Ben. You know who I'm talking about. So,
yeah, that would be dope. That would be dope.
Cool. If you do it on that rooftop, man, like that was a great spot.
That was great. Travarsi played with us last weekend. So
I saw some of it.
It was amazing. Travarsi and Danger Hands both played.
Yep. That's dope.
We'll put video out soon so you folks can see that.
I kind of just saw, I think there was a couple postings and people's stories and stuff, and I was like, oh, this looks dope. Just having fun over here.
Yeah.
Really dope.
Yeah, I have to say, although it was great, to connect through the pandemic, it was pretty awesome to be able to travel around. I played with Alex. I went to see Jim. I jammed with Jim. Dissonant, played your show. I went to Dean's studio. Like, I'm basically making my rounds. But hey, Are we ready to play another jam, or do you want to? How are you feeling, Corey? What do you?
Let's play another jam, and then we'll get into some more stuff once we play another jam. We're doing good on time.
Awesome. All right. while I'm pulling up another jam, well, Evan, I'm going to play your jam. Are you cool with that?
Yeah, go for it.
Awesome. I want to say, because we both had the same, before I play your video, I want to say thank you to everyone that's in the chat and who's been supporting the show for this past year. Everyone here that's online with us on the stream. But now's a good opportunity to drop in the chat. Let us know what is it that we didn't cover that you would think that you'd want to see on the show. We're starting up our new season after we do the KnobCon live session next month. We're gonna go right back into Gear Dive Jam. So please drop in the chat and let us know what you're interested in. And yeah,
indeed.
All right, everybody, mute up. I'm gonna.
Yeah.
Nice.
Very nice.
Nice. Sounds great.
Yeah, that was such a dope vibe. You know, the thing that it comes to mind when I think about that sentence, that is so small, but it's actually pretty powerful.
Mm-hmm.
And you only use that in there, and it was a full-fledged composition.
Yeah. I mean, that's almost kind of one of the challenging things about presenting it is like it's got all the sound sculpting ability in it, and it's like I think it's one of the best sounding like 8-bit synthesizers just because the sample rate's so high. It's like 8-bit, but the sample rate is like 48K internally, so it sounds way cleaner. And then it's got the sample rate reduction, so if you want to get it to the grungier 8-bit sound, you can do that. But it's like I get through explaining like the whole sound engine and all the 4 different sound engines, and then it's like, oh yeah, it's also like, oh, it's a 4-track stereo looper. Like, and then they're like, oh, there's like explanation fatigue for the first one. I'm like, sometimes I'm just like, just so you know, it can do this. Don't worry about that. We'll get to that part later if you want to dive into that. But
Evan, I wish we had. Oh, welcome to the show, Jono. Hey, Jono.
Jono.
How you feeling, man?
Hey.
I'm good.
Good.
Yes, sir.
Evan, what I wish we had is a long form of the video, so we could have included some of the footage when you were kind of giving us a behind the scenes really dive. Like you were really, I feel like that was the real dive. And we did that so that we could make our jams. And so Like, I wish we had a long form of that so we could kind of include that kind of stuff, because there's so many gems in there.
Yeah. I think it was a later evening call with Traversy, Corey, and Ken Flux.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, that's honestly like that's where so much like learning and like user feedback comes from, is like doing those deep dives with people and being like, all right, I'm going to train you how to do this. Like, I just did this for Traversy's frequency shift event because we sent out some units for her, like some of her artists to present with, and just like the process of just like going step by step through all the different features. You learn so much from like the customers on like, oh, here's how they actually use it. Oh, here's a weird rough edge. Oh, why is this the only case where you use Alt instead of Shift? You know, it's just like weird little edges like that you don't think about until you have to explain it to somebody.
Yeah, this time I was smart. I recorded it, I saved it, and yeah.
Yeah, we should.
It's up actually on another YouTube channel, but
okay, awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I was smart that time, but it's super powerful synth.
It really is. And so we're about halfway. Well, we're actually more than halfway through. But I wanted to talk about before we get into more videos, and I want to also talk to Jono in a second. But I wanted to mention that it feels like a pilgrimage for me because I'm originally from Chicago, and NobCon is going to be in Chicago. It's always in Chicago, at least in the suburbs of Chicago, but it's the Chicagoland area. I'm not one of those dudes like, nah, you can't call that Chicago. I went to the mall from my house. I live in proper Chicago. In the mall where that conference happened in the same parking lot, I went there growing up. So it's Chicago. But yeah, we'll be doing, I'll be exhibiting there. My BAP, I'll have a booth there. And we're going to do a live episode from NobCon for Gear Dive Jam, just to kind of walk around and, show people what's going on in the conference, and maybe we'll talk to a few people. Let me share the screen here, though, because I want to, if I can find it. Where is it?
Yeah, I think it's going to be chaotic, but it's going to be awesome to be able to just shoot that. So we'll do 1 hour. The plan was what, Corey? We're going to kind of walk up to some booths and, see what companies
people
coming out.
Yeah.
And then, just, hey, while you're in the chat, if there's look at that the company list, you never know who's coming out with what. But if there's something, you want us to look for, or a company that you want us to look at, we're more than happy to do that. And, look at any new upcoming gear that been announced that day that we can have on Gear Dive Jam for the new season. Sorry, Dissonant, what did you say? My apologies.
Industrial music electronics.
All right. Okay. You're going to be there too.
I'll be there. Yeah.
All right. So you got to definitely pop on Gear Dive Jam again while we're running chaotically, looking at as many new things as we possibly can.
Come on, man. Yeah.
And this is an example for those who haven't been there. If you look at this picture here, this is kind of example of the marketplace, and it's in the same place every year. So the room, if you've been there once, you know the room, and this is kind of what it looks like. You could even look at this picture and start to name people. I see Mickey Delp from Delptronics over here. It's a good time though, so I'm looking forward to it.
I really enjoy this particular, I guess, trade show, if you will, is because of the fact that it's so hyper focused. So I know NAMM can be a lot overwhelming. Just with all the different types of instruments, the floor, the literally 100,000 people. And this is just, I like this, personally, where it's just more like about synths and electronic instruments. And it's just, I'm really looking forward to it.
It's more quaint. You really feel the community.
Yeah.
And, you'd be surprised if you go to these kinds of events, you end up seeing, like, you really get a sense of what the community is like, because you see the people that you've watched and you see the people that you bumped into at other events, and maybe it's local, maybe it's not. And, when you come to these events, this one particularly, you really get a sense of the community. It's really a by us, for us kind of event.
All right. Cool. All right. So I have Dissonant, your video's up. I'm going to drop it in the middle of your jam too. Just ask everyone to mute up. Yes, Space Racer said it's small and intimate.
Hold on. Before you do that though,
Yeah.
Jono, what's up, man? Like, hey, you thanks for coming through the first year anniversary show. Man.
Yeah.
Congrats for making it. I mean, 1 year, man. That's a big deal, you guys.
Yeah, we skated around long enough.
It's awesome. Great show. You've grown it for a year. That's awesome.
We started out winging it. We're ending the year winging it, you know.
All of us, it's like if you've made it through a year of streaming and doing this shit, you've had every technical problem that could have happened.
This is true.
And it's like we've all kind of become kind of like unflappable now. Like there's just nothing that would bother me. Like I've had the small annoying stuff like to the catastrophic stuff happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like whatever, bring like give me your worst.
Yeah, it's right. You build calluses from it, right? Remember,
nothing stresses me
first
out anymore.
couple of shows that I did of the Beat People podcast, and there was a technical difficulty that was the weirdest shit ever. It was so weird. It was kind of like, you see how we're all sitting here, all of us could see each other, but the people that were watching would only see like Jono, and it just so happened to be Ski Beats, but he was laying down in the bed. As somebody said in the comments, like, I feel like I'm FaceTiming with this guy and y'all just in the background making noise. It was just such a
oh my god,
crazy it's like thing. A meme.
Definitely go through the whole gamut of having all the technical difficulties. So when little things happen, you're like, it's all right.
Yeah, who cares?
No doubt. So cool. I just wanted to make sure we, chatted with you a little bit before we jump into the next video.
Thanks, man. It's good to be here.
No doubt.
Thanks, Jono. All right.
I know all these people. It's great. These are all our friends.
Indeed.
All right, I'm going to pull it up now. I'm going to ask everyone to mute up. I'm going to add it.
Super vibes.
Yeah.
It's the kind of stuff I can
Nice.
listen to for hours.
Indeed.
Thanks.
It's like put that on loop. That's just awesome.
Talk to us. Tell us. Do you recall?
Yeah, I mean, I did a lot with the vector, like so that baseline that was up front, that just seemed to be endlessly complicated. I mean, it had like a line that was running through it, but I was using the subsequencers running at different tempos from the main sequence. And I used those to one of them was jumping octaves, mostly up 1 or 2 octaves depending on where they hit. And then the other subsequencer, so for those that don't know the vector sequencer, each sequence has 2 subsequencers in it. What are they? They're parts. Is that it, Jem? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I always get confused with the
Each
terminology.
part is the main sequence, the thing you usually see,
Yes.
and then there are 2 subsequencers you can use to modulate things.
So that's what I was doing. I was modulating pitch on the bass with the 2 subsequencers running at different speeds than the main sequence itself. And then Vector has a ton of chance operations, which are like randomization, but you can choose all sorts of different things like velocity, ratchets. You can do mutes and unmutes, and that also has the ability to, like, within it has randomization in the chance operations, so you can sort of, in a way, you can set it to run at different times, so it can run on every pass of the sequence, or maybe odd or even passes of the sequence. And then every third time, every fourth time, and then I think every 8th, maybe. I don't know. I don't use the 8th one that much if it's there. So all of that combined allows you to take a relatively standard and static sequence and make it sound a lot more complicated and interesting. And then the beats themselves, that's just another technique I use with it, which are that was done using per step time changes. So each step you can divide by a different types of operators, but I usually use the musical division. So like if you have 16 steps, and like some of them are 8th note triplets, some of them are quarter notes, some of them are half, some are 2 steps, and it's just like that through the whole thing, for all of the percussion. So even though there might be a BPM that's running that's relatively static, the beats themselves are constantly shifting, and it has micro timing on it, so you can shift beats like a gate right and left if you want to add swing and stuff. But this is like, it's like swing on acid. So it's just so weird, and I get the strangest things out of it. I've never quite heard anything like it, and I love it.
It's very cool. I really like the way you use it. And the one thing that's really cool about the vector sequencer, there's just so many layers to it that it's just everybody can go in like a complete different direction. Totally. Like I haven't even, I mean, I dove into some of the things that you're talking about, but I'm so like focused on this other part of what the sequencer does that it's like I haven't fully even got there yet. You know what I mean? Because I'm like using some other features that it's just, yeah, it's a great sequencer.
Yeah, totally.
And Jim, I know that you're always adding like always doing updates, and you're so, involved in the community, which I think is awesome, and listening to everybody and their requests. I'm sure it's overwhelming because we're all like, we want this, or how about this, or whatever. But you're always such a great sport about listening and, just adding the things that I think overall will please all of the sequencer users. So yeah, thank
In
you.
the meantime, it becomes like a mad, powerful sequencer.
Yeah.
We're always trying to keep an eye on, what are, add a big thing now and then, like the arpeggiator, and then what other little things can go with it, and try and keep the updates consistent and fresh, and keep track on little usability issues that crop up here and there, and and that's why doing like the performance at NIMS, it's like I'm doing it because it's the best way to test it, right? Is to use it. And you learn so many different things than if you're just sitting there poking around. But when you're focused and you have a deadline, it's a whole nother matter. Right. So it's a great way to kind of get in on those things, right? I used a lot of the sub sequencers to make some, I had all my drum patterns were 16 steps, but I knew I wanted to spread things out a bit. I'm like, okay, I can play with step length and make the patterns feel longer, and I can play with sub sequencers to move things around, and chance ops to add a few extra hits here and there. And and then for example, I could see some ways we could, I got to a point where I had a lot of presets, and I needed to take about half the presets out I knew I wasn't going to use, and then compress everything down. So I think there's some opportunity there to make it a little easier to perform those tasks.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So just a couple new features that you've added recently. I know you mentioned, just kind of throw some out. I know you're always adding new stuff. Like I know, like I love the ARP. I'm all about using the ARP lately.
Good.
Yeah. What are a couple other, just for the sake of all of the viewers, just a couple new things that you've added in the last firmware update? Oh, I got one while you're thinking of one.
Yeah. What is it?
With the launch pad, I really like that by changing the root note, it shifts all the keys on the launch pad, so you're now playing in that key.
Yeah. The new keyboard layout.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
no, I've gone pretty fond of that. We need to be able to switch back and forth to the old one, though. I got a couple gripes about, we like the old one. I'm like, that's great, because I thought everybody hated the old one. So you can have both,
Right.
And, I think something I might try and sneak in is changing the number of beats per bar. That's something I'm interested in getting into, and I'm getting some requests for it. And I, instead of trying to go full in on supporting lots of different meters, is just say, okay, let's just start letting you change the number of beats per bar, stretch things out a little bit, and then, kind of proceed from there step by step.
Very cool.
And of course, we want to allow, different micro tunings per preset. That's important.
Yep. That's a big one. That was one of my personal requests.
Yeah, we'll definitely get that in soon.
Awesome. Just want to check in with everyone in the chat. I know I saw one person throw out the Octatrack, Corey, so we need to add that to our list. And maybe we can perhaps get Shiro.
You cannot have an Octatrack show without Shiro.
Yeah, I know.
I would go so far as to say the scheduling of the show would revolve around Shiro's schedule.
Yeah.
There's no way we could do an Octatrack show without Shiro.
Yeah, hands down. I agree with you there for sure. All right, so I'm going to jump into another jam. And so Nasty Nachos, I'm going to drop the needle in the middle of your set. So and then everyone mute up.
Yeah.
Put it back on. That was sick.
Awesome. Yeah.
Hell
So
yeah.
you queued it up right at a good spot. I had just written that bass line on the fly. So basically, like, we were going into the second movement of the piece at that time, and yeah, so I like wrote some chords, and then right when it started, right when you queued it up, I was changing the quantization on the input for Volterra, so I could just choose a couple different notes and make sure that was going to be in the key with the chord that I had just written on the MPC, and then then I wrote that bass line, and then we brought it in. And then after the cymbals came in, I wrote another bass line on the fly, and then we went into that one. So that's kind of the idea of Metron is in Volterra is, being able to program something while something else is happening. So it's really important to us to never have to stop the sequencer. Playing with so many drum machines and things like that in the past, obviously things have gotten a lot better, but 10 or 15 years ago, it was like you would have to literally stop to save. I was playing with another sequencer. I bought a really expensive keyboard from a workstation company a while ago. And when you hit delete on a sequence, it would stop the sequencer. And I returned that thing immediately because it was like, that just kills my vibe.
Right.
And that's what Metron's all about, is keeping the vibe going. So always just being able to continue playing, draw up new ideas. With the mixer, you can listen to set ideas before you bring them in. What's nice about, and then what I was also doing with Metron, which Jim and Dissonant were talking about, is just like probability. So with the bass line, I would write a bass line that I thought might sound cool, but then at the end of it, where you might want to have a little bit of variation, say I think I was just doing 1-bar patterns. So every once in a while, where I thought it would make more energy, I would add some extra notes, and then just put probability on the gates for those notes. So like maybe like 25%, 75% maybe in like the beginning of the thing. So something that I think I want to happen more and drop out to create the variation. And then stuff at the end, I would do less probability. But then when all those would randomly hit together, that would create more energy at the end of the pattern. So that's kind of the idea of where I was going. And then, as far as the MPC, like I was literally just using it for drum loops and then to sequence the Juno 106 or the JU06.
Dope.
Nice.
You were saying that when you're writing those bass lines or melodies or whatever on the fly, I feel like I remember in the episode you were saying something about how you kept everything in the same scale, and did you use a quantizer of some sort for that?
Well, yeah. So Metron, you can quantize the input, which is really nice. So, and what I mean by the input is the knob. So you're basically, the quantizer is on the input. So if you change quantized settings on a knob, it won't affect the sequence that's playing. So for instance, in the beginning, I think I was playing in like the key of E or something, maybe F. And then I would change to a different key, probably like D minor or something. And when I did that, I let the first bass line play, went in and changed the input quantization, a user scale in D. And instead of doing like the full scale, I just did like the 1, the 7, and like probably like the 3rd. And then those are all I have to choose from, maybe like 3 octaves of that. And then I can program that in. I know it's going to sound pretty good centered around the root note. So you can change the key on the fly. And so that's what I was doing.
Dope.
Very cool.
Dope. Really dope.
Mm-hmm. And that was the show we had the double whammy. So just everyone that's watching in the chat too, we did the Metron and the performance mixer, and you had both right there.
Yeah.
I want to say, like, I just, you know how I feel about the fills.
Yeah.
In my fills.
I love me some fills. The Metron just hits that spot.
Yeah. So did I ask you last time? Do you write your own fills? Do you do the fill thing? No, you just use the ones I do.
No, I don't need to. You know why? Because I love how the way the buttons are where you can launch the fills. So I'll literally juggle the fills.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like I like doing that. Like I'll juggle. What'd you say? You can what?
They OR together, so you can stack them.
No, I haven't tried stacking
You can
them.
use a couple of the fills like that we wrote, and then stack them on top of each other, so you can be holding one and then hit the other one and bring it in and out.
Okay, because I'll juggle back and forth, and then one hand is doing that, and the other hand's working the fader.
Yeah,
pulling out a kick. So yeah, it's all about those faders and those fills.
Yeah, for sure. Looping too. Looping's my thing. I like to use it beat repeat.
Nice. One thing I do want to say about the mixer, I want to throw that out, is that when I switched to using the performance mixer, I was able to take out some of my input modules, which was game changer for me. That gave me some extra room in my rack because I was able to plug my Digitact or Digitone or my 303 directly into the channel because it has those extra gains when needed. And then the cueing, I'm all about that DJ style of playing. So I think being able to cue is so crucial.
Oh, yeah, and that was so helpful when we played together because we didn't know what each other were going to do.
Yeah.
And then there were definitely times where you were like, "What key are you in?" I'd tell you, and then we weren't. Something was wrong.
Or I'd do that to you.
I would be like, "What's your key?" And she's like, "I'm an F," and I'd be like, "That shit is not F." I'm over here and I'm listening in my headphones, and that is not F. And then I'd be like, "Oh, okay, there it is." And then, but that's why that exists. And so literally, I could just go and be like, "Oh, okay, I think I found it." And then she'd be like, "So what gear are you playing now?" I'm like, "I'm playing an A, but I'm pretty sure that's your F."
Yeah, man, that was great. Hour and 40-minute set of back and forth,
crazy,
layering on top of each other.
That's sick.
Very cool.
It's only been how many weeks, and I haven't seen you the recording yet. I'm sorry, Shonda. I'll do that.
All right.
And you two are set to do it again at NobCon, right?
Yep.
And we'll get a real recording this time.
Excellent.
Yes. Yeah, with all those synth heads there, if we don't get a recording, come on.
You're not going to get a recording.
Such a bummer.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I can't be responsible for that, dude.
So
we'll get some help.
NobCon is shaping up. It's going to be a pretty good event. It's going to be pretty cool. I think, it's one of the first events. It's not the first, but it's one of the first events since, lockdown and kind of the awakening, the aftermath of things, or, depending on who you talk to, this may not be the aftermath, but goddamn it, it's going to be a good event. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing y'all perform in person.
Well, yeah, and NobCon, I was going to say it earlier, is one of the, I think it's the only thing that WMD is really going to do this year. It's hard to get out, and but NobCon just feels special. I've been doing it for I don't even know how many years now. This probably be my 6th year, and there's just something that's special about it. It's just it's very intimate and homey crew. It just feels like that.
I always describe it as if you're in a hotel and you're at the hotel bar, there's normally a group of people next to you or a bunch of people around you watching the game and talking sports and saying all these things. But everybody next to you is talking about envelope generators and voltage, and it's totally crazy and weird.
It's like alter universe kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then it ends relatively early, but I always end up staying up super late with everybody outside on some patio, just
chatting. Or there's all the room jams, people jamming in various rooms and stuff.
That's right.
Oh yeah. getting in trouble.
You know what is the last time I was at NobCon, I felt like there was somebody was doing something. Well, everybody's always having a room jam, right? And somebody just heard somebody keep asking, "Did you invite him to the room jam?" And he's like, "Then somebody invites this person, invites that person," and then I just kept hearing this from the same person over and over and over throughout the day, and I had to stop. I was like, "How fucking big is this room?" There's no way you can fit all these people in this room. Still happened.
Corey, Red Stripe Down, man. He always throws that down.
Yeah, that's I think it was. Sir. Yeah.
He's always got the room jam going. There was one year where they did it, and we had like a corner like unit, so we had like a suite, and we were like, we should actually do this in our room, but we want to go to sleep. So
right.
Hey, if someone has speakers, I think I got a corner room. We could set something.
Yeah, I was gonna say pro tip, corner room.
Yeah,
it's definitely the way to go. They're like quite a bit bigger.
Dope. Well, yo, let's see, conference room jam. So hey, we're gonna so this is our obviously anniversary sort of retrospective. Good to hang out with a few people sort of episode. We're doing the live one from NobCon next week. And then after that, we're going to is it on? Yeah, it's on. We're gonna be doing an episode on
I'm gonna bring you to full screen, Corey.
The Sequential Pro 3 is gonna be the October episode. And and that should be fun. I blame Travarsi for not telling me or forcing my hand a little bit sooner on the Pro 3. I'm glad I got it, and I can't wait to jam with it. And so, yeah, that's something to look forward to. That'll be us back to our regular episode sort of thing after the first live thing at NobCon. So I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I have to say that that was probably one of the very first demo videos I have done, and since the moment I touched that synth, I was like, I need it. I didn't get it right away though, but I was like, it was always in the back of my mind, and I got it, and it's so worth it. So I'm definitely looking forward to that Gear Dive Jam. So that's August. Excuse me. Why did I say August? October? Yeah, it's late. Sorry. I want to play another jam before we kind of wind it down.
Indeed.
I'm gonna pull Jono's, and Jono, you were kind of in one of our earlier episodes, so I need to pull your video. So just give me a moment. But you did.
I don't even recall what it was. I mean, it was Morphogene, right?
Yeah, but you did a couple things, and I'll let you kind of maybe think about it for just a moment while I'm.
I remember I did a little chitty chat like before the video started.
It was good though, because it was kind of like a walkthrough. I want to mention while you pull that video up too. We have somebody saying Isla Instruments 24S2400. That was one of our recent episodes, right? I think we did that maybe 2 episodes ago.
Yep.
Episode? I can't remember.
It was before the WMD and performance. It was wait. I'll tell you right now, because my bad. Yeah, it was before the Vector. So yeah.
Yeah.
That was another good episode too. All right, I got Jono's video. Let me share screen.
Maybe come in after I stop talking and blabbing.
Oh shit! All right.
John,
like half of the video.
Your own skin. I thought that was good.
I like the blabbing on that one. Keep the blabbing in.
Yeah.
Too much blabbing. She's gonna play the blabbing. God damn it. So after exporting that WAV file out of Cubase, I'm bringing it into Adobe Audition, where I'm doing all my slicing.
or I mean all my splicing. So if you use Morphogene, you know that it works with all these splice markers, which you can add either before in software or afterwards on the module. There's only 2 pieces of software that will put these splice markers in and then export a WAV file with it, and that is Adobe Audition and also Reaper. So now I've got all my slices. It looks like there's like 27 in there. I'm going to export and give it a file name. And then you need to make sure that it's at 48 hertz, 32-bit, and you export all the markers. All that metadata gets embedded into that WAV file. Now I've copied that WAV file onto the card, and it's just indexing the very first splice. A little bit of shimmer on FX Aid for kind of a final gloss.
I remember
Nice.
that.
Whoa.
I was like, do I play the talking part? But then I felt like it was important because that's part of the essence of Gear Dive Jam, you know, and a lot of videos, especially when I first heard of the Morphogene, it was always people showing like, I don't know how it was just all these creative and weird sounds it would make, but never really how do you get, how can you make a reel, all those things. So I'm glad that you actually did that for our show and showed that side of it.
I like recall making that it was important that, or to me that day that, sorry, I'm losing my voice, that I didn't go super glitchy mad Morphogene, which I also love using it like that. So in the first part, I was talking about how I was basically just playing a really simple progression on the keyboard here. So I like kind of improved just a bunch of nice little key whatevers. And then in Audition, I put splice markers at every kind of shift, every chord shift. So that all I'm doing in this little demo, it's super simple, is just hitting shift, and I'm just advancing through those splices. And that's like literally all I'm doing. And then there's little moments where I'm changing the gene size or where it's hitting that splice, but all I'm doing is just splicing through it. So it was supposed to be really simple to show that technique. And I also recall that one of my mentalities for making that video was to not plug it filled with a bunch of modulation, and to play it manually like an instrument. And I love using Morphogene like that too, where I've got nothing plugged into it other than the outs, and I'm just kind of just finding little nuggets and little sonic areas to kind of sit on and play in. It's fun to modulate the shit out of and really dial it up and make it super tight too. But that's a module I could have 3 of and use, in a patch and use really differently. One is making mad glitchy drums. Another one is doing some smeary, something like this, something real ER301-ish.
Well, it was lovely.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Indeed. That was a good show.
Yep.
Yeah, my love affair with that module is well documented.
Yeah, for me, like I had caught some parts of that show, but I hadn't watched the whole thing. And I remember some discussions with the developer, kind of the logic of it. And I just took like a tape processing. There's this studio called Dogbotic, and they do all these different classes. And one of the ones they just did was like cassette hacking. And this really reminds me of that. And I just think it's so wild how much different texture there is in Eurorack now. Like I remember maybe 10 years ago, it was like, I was thinking like, oh, how do I want to run my Ableton through Eurorack? Like, how do I use Eurorack as like an effect, effect chain? And it was like really hard to find any information about it. And the whole idea of like having like a sampler in your Eurorack was like totally an unknown concept. And having all that integrated now and like, and in a new and unique and flexible way that you can't do in a DAW or an Ableton is like, it's so cool. It's cool to see like Eurorack diversify into new sound palettes and not just like, oh yeah, this is this filter from this classic.
Yeah.
And I have 3 of them, so I can do this and this. It's like no. This is everyone's Eurorack sounds completely different.
Another thing that you mentioned about the idea that having samplers in Eurorack was taboo. So much so, in fact, that I myself, coming from the 16 pad sort of paradigm, couldn't wrap my mind around it. I'm like, what? To me, sampling is sampling, slicing, and rejiggering the crap out of it to create new sequences. And the idea of the way samplers were being introduced, it was more like splicing tape and doing tricky stuff that guys, really techie dudes would do in the studio back when, like they would splice. I remember being on the radio every Thursday with a friend of mine back in Chicago, and he would have to splice tape to get certain things ready. Or I would be in the studio, and those guys, we record everything real, and they would end up splicing tape and doing stuff. And so to me, that was stuck in that little bitty box for me. And it never really dawned on me that there's a whole nother world of possibilities with sampling until, really just embracing, just really embracing the idea of the way sampling was done. And Morphogene's become one of my favorite modules because of that. And I don't do a show without it.
Well, you guys know Nick from Dubstation Zero, right? Like this guy's a real, like this guy knows synthesis. One of my best friends. We talk all the time. And he's currently giving me 10 tons of crap because my 7U right now. This is how I work. I borrow from the big case and I build out 7U, and I kind of live in that for a month or two. I don't have one oscillator in the 7U right now.
Yes.
Not one. It's like a pair of disting EXs doing multi-samples and poly wavetable, Morphogene, R-bar, Bitbox Micro, and a wall of effects and wacky CV and the Benjamin, of course. But like, it's a total sample box. The whole thing is sample players. And it's just like where I'm at right now.
That's what's up.
You know, like
Yep.
no oscillators, even
And
though I love them and own them.
Out there now that you could do
Yeah.
something like that. It's a total 180.
Right.
Also, isn't the
Yeah.
Benjamin 2 oscillators?
Well, I'm not using it as an audio source.
Fair enough. Gates and things.
Yeah, I'm
Like
using the
around
Turing
your-
machine in the center with the breakout. That's running all the percussion
Very
madness.
Very cool.
Nice.
But it's all sample based. It's just where I'm at right now.
Neat.
I'm loving the Disting EX2, so I'm with you on that.
Oh, it's so powerful.
That's my big
Yeah.
achievement. That's my big achievement this week. Is I've got the Disting EX set up with a delay on the left and a reverb on the right. But I've finally figured out how to save that as a master preset, so I don't have to call up each channel separately every time I flip the system on. It just loads that same preset. Fantastic with the
Nice.
Disting EX
Man.
this week. Yeah.
I haven't
Get
even.
into the multi samples.
Yeah, that's the
crazy.
only thing I use on is the
Me too.
multi-sample.
Me too.
Yeah.
All the other disting stuff, disting mentality just went over my head. I was not the guy.
No,
With the little 4HP ones, I didn't do it.
oh, I was excited about this thing. That was one of the ones I was
It's
like,
amazing.
yeah. Then I got it, and I was like, not my deal.
Not
then
my jam.
I know folks that like have multiples of them,
I know. Yeah.
and I get it, but it was just not, for me. My workflow wasn't really for me.
Poly multi samples. I mean, Shauna and I have been going nuts with it because
Yeah.
I'm like, I got this piece of software that's recording my VSTs. I'm flying in. It's just amazing. I'm playing VSTs in modular.
Yeah. I got your folder. Thank you.
Oh, good. Yeah, I just recorded. It was the other night. I got into Iris, which is one of my favorite VSTs, and I recorded like 15 different patches out of Iris. Fly them into the Disting EX, playing them polyphonically.
Dope.
Fucking brilliant.
Yo,
I'll send you my Silent ones.
Oh, what a great VST. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm cheating. It's so good. It's like, what are these big, rich pads coming from? It's like, well, a pair of Distings.
that is dope though. That's
I mean, if playing with samplers is cheating, I am cheating so badly right now.
Yeah, my case is one huge amount of cheat. It's
I'm
like
just,
every
like,
row
cheating
is samplers.
Well,
we definitely need to do an episode on some of these sampler modules for sure. It's on the list.
yeah.
Put me
Well,
on
the
that list.
assimilator, I mean, come on, it's just brilliant. Bitbox Micro, good in its own way.
Erica Sense Sample Drum is my newest addition to the sample modules, and I'm just loving it. I'm loving the slicing on it. It's like night and day, easier to use than the Rample.
Nice.
The
But
slicing and
slicing
dicing on the,
specifically on the
yeah,
Erica Sample Drum. Oh my God. And the filters that are built into it, I'm like, this is my new favorite filter. I want to run everything through it.
that's brilliant.
Nice.
You can just crank up the resonance and bring the low pass. It's like, I don't know. I want to say it feels like a 6 decibels per octave low pass filter. It's not super aggressive. So you can bring it all the way down and all the way back up again. And it doesn't like destroy the sample. It's just rich and buttery and delicious. Oh, I wish I
Buttery
would have
and
got it
delicious.
sooner. I wish I would have got it
Lobster.
sooner.
What I think is so interesting about this too is like I think we had the huge sampling boom, right? Like as as the MPC was coming out, like all these tracks were sampling, and then sampling, I feel like at least in popular music hit this wall because it was like, oh, all of a sudden like the record companies have caught up with like suing the pants off you if you sample anything, and then it was like, oh, you can make a whole album and you spend a year trying to clear all the samples. So it's cool to see sampling come back within a creative space of sampling your own stuff.
Absolutely.
And
Sure.
I think that that's really like the future. And I know Corey has, this whole idea of mod bap and this idea of bringing in the hip hop techniques, but using your own gear as like a farm for samples and for developing your own sound. I think that in some ways it's evolved out of necessity, right? It's like I can't make an album if I can't clear the samples, but it's like, oh yeah, well, it's all my own stuff now, so can't sue me at this point.
The other counterpoint to that too is that a lot of people just kind of looked at, especially in hip hop, it's just like, I'm gonna keep sampling.
Right.
Because I'm underground and I'll never sell 1 million records. And I'm just gonna do this because me and my neighborhood and a couple other cities are gonna know that this dope shit I did on this sampler. I'll never get large enough to be on anyone's radar.
That's house music too. I mean, that's like me and my homies. It's just like, just put it out.
That's it. Just put it out.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Tell me to take it down, and I'll take it down.
I mean, it's all fun and games until you make the next Harlem Shake and you get like almost no royalties because you used a bunch of samples that you pirated off the internet and
move on. I wanted to play this just because Jono sort of inspired me to dig in, and I'll see if I could play this if you all can hear it. If not, then it'll be a fail. But let's see. This is my contribution to that episode because I love the
such a tasty jam.
So let's see if we could actually hear this.
That was super tasty.
Performer. Sick, Corey.
Right on.
So killer, man.
Great stuff.
Yes, and
Yeah,
the thing is, that's kind of an example of why I like that particular sampler, because what I had, there's a Surface. I think I'm using a Surface, and that's what the kind of the sound is coming from. But what I did is I made tracks with the Surface, but I also sampled bits and pieces of what I created with Surface into Morphogene. So as I'm actually playing the track, you're actually hearing like the kind of straight version that I sampled a phrase of, different phrases of, but then you're hearing that being mangled through Morphogene and then output through my effects unit. So it's kind of fun to kind of layer up that stuff later on in that set. You kind of also get to see how that I kind of take it back down and almost do just a different sort of ambient weird sort of thing with it. But that's how flexible the Morphogene is. It's sampling in general, and you're all right.
And that's your main performance rig. And I noticed too, like, just let's not talk about the pink elephant in the room, but that performer module that you have in there too.
Yeah. What? Who said?
Yeah.
There's no elephant. It's right there.
Yeah.
Right, I know what you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah,
Another sick episode.
Yeah, it was a good
Yeah.
episode too.
Yeah.
Recording into it is just as fun. I mean, I like creating it in software first and then flying it in on the SD card. But man, just like 2 days ago, I got Pam's sending the record CV, a real divided square wave, like it was happening like I think I might have had it on mine on divide 48 or even 96. So it was sending a long square wave to Morphogene every, like, I don't know, like once a minute or something. And going into Morphogene, I had a really simple little progression that Ornament and Crime was playing in Disting EX. It's playing some nice multi-sample into it. So it's constantly evolving and changing. But then about once a minute, Pam's was ticking the record CV on Morphogene to grab whatever was coming in. So every minute or so, I had a fresh garden to noodle around in. It was like refreshed. I mean, talk about a playable instrument, right? Now suddenly it just refreshes into something new and beautiful. I see the shift light blinking. That means it's being read to. Ah, sweet. It just gave me a whole new buffer. It's just dope. That's so easy.
Dope.
Nice.
Traverse,
so easy.
Before we get out of here, we get one of your jams, and do you have something cute?
Yes.
And then I think we can sort of start to wrap it up and look forward to the other shows. Thanks again for everybody stopping by, and it's been a good year.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Congratulations on the 1 year.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
So we appreciate you guys coming on the show. We hope to have you guys come back. Yeah, that's all I'll say. Like,
yeah, definitely. Like, thank you to Travarsi and Corey. Both of you have. If you even go back and all of Corey's Beat People podcast, I was just listening to one from 30 years ago when the Roland Boutiques just came out, and they were like talking about that. It's just like there's such a depth of content, and I think YouTube provides such a deep service for all of these.
Yeah.
Like, I can speak for ourselves as a manufacturer and a lot of other manufacturers. Like, we can't make gear and present it and build a community and do all this stuff at the same time. So I think we're really lucky as a community to have, people like you two who can bring a bunch of people together and also connect us with artists to send gear out to. It's like, it really is like the glue that helps us as small manufacturers exist and build a following. So
no doubt.
Deeply
Absolutely.
Well said.
I appreciate that. We love the community.
Thank you.
We do.
Yes, I appreciate that too. Any chance where we can hang out with friends, play with the gear we love, and just nerd out.
It's important.
All right. So I pulled up one of my favorite jams, and I think that it's a good one because I'm using a lot of various pieces of gear we've done on our shows throughout the year. So
it's Mega Mix jam.
Yes, it's like a Mega Mix one. All right. So I'll ask everyone to mute up. and I'll. That's it.
That's the
That's
stuff.
it.
All right.
Bravo.
Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome.
So funny seeing your old setup. You know, I'm like, wow, she's still got the Deckards in there.
Yeah, I don't even know. Like I rotate my setup.
Yeah,
so
she's
much,
got the Euclidean
like,
circles in there
ridiculous.
that time. Trip out.
Yeah, but there's always some core things that always remain, and yeah.
Yes, indeed. And just a reminder to everybody, all of the well, just about all of them, maybe not the first couple of episodes, but all of the jams are actually on the Gear Dive Jam YouTube channel as individual, videos of their own, higher quality audio most times. So be sure to go check those out. There's some real gems in there.
Do we have time for one more?
Sure. Everybody else has time.
You guys got time for one more jam? Wait.
Bring it on.
All right, one more jam, and then we'll call.
Alex Thumb.
All right. We got one more jam.
Got to multitask right now, just rewiring some stuff, so don't mind me. Sorry.
Oh, good.
No. I got one more jam. We can't end it without playing this jam. All right, everybody mute up again. Nice.
All right.
Yo, who was that?
That was Jim.
Yeah.
Dope.
Yeah.
Very nice.
That was dope. Perfect.
Thanks for playing that. That was great. Thank you.
That
That
was
was great.
great. Yeah, like, and I have to say, Jim, like, I really appreciate you always, you're so low key, but you're a fantastic musician. You had a great set tonight for NIMS. And thanks for giving me the secret tips always on how I can be better at using my sequencer. I really appreciate that.
Secret tips.
Well,
Secret
I
tips.
got to go.
What
I
the
got to go
fuck?
and hang out with him, and like just a one-on-one. Like I was like, well, how do I do this? He's like, you can just do this and this, and I was like,
No
okay.
doubt.
Well, make sure you
like-
don't share those and keep them secret.
I mean, they're not really secret. It's more just
Well,
like,
this is. I mean, that's what you said. I mean, yeah.
Secret tips.
all right, Jono, enough. All right, get off the back. It's
He's
too
got a
late.
password protected PDF somewhere.
Damn.
Did you get the encrypted tips file?
Shit.
And there is that like late night, midnight jam we did. What, that was about 2 hours?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was fun.
yeah, it was so much fun. It made me like think like I gotta rework some things in my case. Like, yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
So, I want to thank everybody again for coming by. Be sure to like and subscribe and find all of these guys and go check them out too. As a matter of fact, everybody, when you get off the show, if you can, email us your social media handles so we have them, so we can put it in the description of the video, so that we can link back to what everybody's doing. Whether it's the company you're representing or yourself or some work you're doing. Just send us a little description and we'll put it in the description of this video. And so here's to another great year, and see you all next month.
Take
See
care,
you
everyone.
everyone.
Take care.
Hi,
Thank
everyone.
you all.
Thank you so much.
Bye bye.
Take care.